Hey there, MRA, my Real Africanist. This is your girl, Marie Ya Jouf, the Real Africanist, and welcome back to my channel. Well, welcome to my channel if this is your first time here, and welcome back if you have been here before. Okay, I hope that you have been enjoying the content that I've been putting out there. I see that you have really been enjoying the couple of videos that I uploaded highlighting West African and East African culture. I recorded those videos the other last week when I was attending an event at an African Studies Association fashion show, right? That I was a part of. So I'm glad that you are enjoying those two videos. However, I just wanted to speak to something, right? There is this issue about what the president from Tunisia said about African people, right? And from what I understand, or what I heard him say, was that black Africans, and please don't take offense to that word, I'm using that word just for clarification's sake, but Africans from sub-Saharan Africa, right? Or orchestrating a plot or something to take over Tunisia, right? Because of the influx of sub-Saharan Africans that were coming into the country, okay? And I know that a lot of black people or members of the African diaspora family, but specifically on the African continent, have taken offense to what he said, right? And rightfully so. However, what I don't understand is the total outrage, or what I can call the whole disbelief that he said that, right? I mean, this when will we understand, especially my African brothers and sisters, right? I mean, who I count myself in the number, but not when it comes to that. When will we understand that this is how people feel, right? This is how they really feel. Even if they don't say it, this is how they feel. I mean, how many times do we have to hear something like this before we understand that this is exactly how they feel, okay? Now, again, I know it's not everybody, because some of the Tunisian population, right, they have been pushing back against that. Some of the so-called white Tunisians, or white Arab Tunisians, or whatever they refer to themselves as, they have also been pushing back. But this is nothing new, okay? I remember about some years ago, I saw a video on the African diaspora channel, news channel, and he was replaying a video that was featured on Al Jazeera, right? And they were talking about the sort of racism that black Tunisians endure in that country, right? Some even to the point where it mirrors apartheid, right? And where some of the attacks actually become violent, okay? But I was just, wanting to say that, again, this is nothing new, right? This happens all the time. I mean, I just did a video last week about Kevin Hart and, the tweets that were going out about him in Egypt, because he said that the ancient Egyptians were black, right? And You remember last year or a few years ago, well, was that last year when the war started in Ukraine, and how Africans were being treated in Ukraine, right? How they were being basically kicked out of the country, and when they were trying to leave, how they wouldn't allow them to get on the train, and all of that mess, okay? And even here in the United States, right? We've been going through that stuff for so long, and all of this, people always, like I say, think they are offending us by telling us to go back to Africa. But you know how long we've been hearing that crap, right? This is how these people think. Okay, now you can hide your head in the sand as a person of African descent or as a black person and act like it's not real, but this is real. This is the real deal that you're dealing with, and we really need to get over all of that mess and really come to grips with this is how these people feel about us. Okay, again, we know it's not everybody, okay, and I get tired of repeating myself when I say that, okay. You never hear anybody say, well, it's not all blacks, it's not all of them, when they be talking the way they talk about us. They never say that because they don't feel like they have to make a distinction between black people, because they are referring to everybody. When they say they don't want you in the country, they referring to all of us, okay? It's not, I don't want this particular black or that particular black. They mean they don't want no black people. We the only one feel like we have to parse our words and make excuses, right? Or make a distinction between who it is and who is not. Muhammad Ali told us years ago, if I am in a den of snakes, right, all snakes don't bite, but I don't have time to be sitting around trying to figure out what snake bite and what snake does not bite, right? I just have to get out of the den, basically. I just have to get out of the way. I don't have time for all of that, right? And I'm not advocating leaving the country, but I'm saying in your assessment of the situation and in your thoughts about the situation, please be clear that this is how people outside of our race think about us, right? And again, sometimes it's the population in general, and sometimes it's the government, but all in all, it's for the most part, people think that way about people of African descent, even our own people, which is a shame. I remember just a few months ago, or maybe a month ago, there was this situation in Chicago where the mayor was considering relocating these Haitian immigrants in a African American community, right? And there was this big uproar, this big pushback by the African American community, talking about, we let them go over there and with their own community, and we got enough issues and all of this, basically saying that the Haitian people are going to bring more problems to the African American community. And how do they know that? I have no problem with people trying to protect their community, but how do you know that? You already make that determination that just because they're Haitian or because they are black, they are going to bring more problems to your community, right? Where do we get that train of thought from? Where did we get that train of thought from? And it's vice versa too. That happens in African communities when African Americans, are coming to those communities, or when, basically here in the United States, most of those communities, we don't even mix. African and African American communities don't even mix, and it's because of these ideas that we have about each other. It's about this rhetoric and propaganda that we've been told about each other, right? We don't even know each other. So how do we know that this person, we don't like each other, or that we may not get along? Because everybody I mean, you know, like I say, everybody, there's individual circumstances and issues. But for the most part, when everybody of African descent, you know, not African American or from other African diaspora countries that I have met, that I have gotten to know, we get along, basically. You know, I can't say we all buddy, but we get along. We don't have any problems, right? I mean, like I say, it's unrealistic to think, you know, all black people are just going to get along and be this big happy family. I mean, that's crazy to even think about it, right? But it's not, again, I will stress, it's not about individuals. It's about collective system, and it's about empowerment of people who you know, it's about the empowerment of people of African descent to be able to control their socioeconomic situations, right? That's what it's all about. So whether I know you or not, or whether you or my next door neighbor or not, right? It's not about that per se, okay? It's about creating systems that work for us as a collective group, right? So, again, I just don't, you know, I don't understand this whole, you know, shock and awe thing. You know, I'm not sure if you recall this other video. Yeah, I know I'm always talking about videos, but I'm always on YouTube. I'm a YouTuber, but it's a comedian, a female comedian, and I believe she's an African comedian, right? And she uses, I don't want to say controversial, but issues, you know, pertaining to blacks and whites, you know, to talk about discrimination and to talk about you know, the divide between the two. And she said that initially, right, that she didn't get along. I mean, she couldn't connect with African Americans, and she was wondering why, right? And she said she was trying, but for the longest she was just wondering why she just couldn't make that connection with African people, right? I mean, African American people. And then she said, you know, I finally figured it out. The reason why is because they are what, you know, this new word woke, right? She said they are woke. And I, you know, am of African, you know, I am an African, and there are so many Africans on this on the continent, right, who are not woke, and they actually believe that it's only the fault of the African man for, you know, why they are suffering the way they are, right? And you know, like I said, I'm not trying to offend anybody, because to me there's you know, a movement of wokeness that's going on the African continent as well, especially among the young people, right? But she's right, you know. But instead of people calling us woke, they call us angry, right? But no, we're not angry, okay? And like you say, some of this you know, wokeness stuff, you know, with everything you're gonna have extremes, okay? But basically, we know, right? We know what has happened to us. We understand these systems that have been created to exploit our ingenuity, to exploit our labor, right? We understand what has been the impact of these systems, right? Of which that were deliberately created to do exactly what they have done, right? And we hold the descendants of those who continue to benefit from that. We hold their foot to the fire, right? And we hold the Americans' government's foot to the fire, because they continue to benefit from that. And not only do they continue to benefit from that they continue to benefit from the exploitation of our brothers and sisters all around the world. Okay, so again, we have to quit being so emotional about these type of things, and like you say, getting all bent out of hand. We should understand how people feel, and we should know better by now. Okay, I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was talking about reparation, and she went on to say, well, I'm not really waiting on it. If they would just quit treating us bad. I said, treating us bad? What do you mean? Do you think that's what it's all about? Them treating us bad? I mean, that is just a very small portion of the issue of reparations. Okay, it's it's one, part of it, right? And yes, it's about the physical and psychological trauma that people of African descent endured under these systems, but it's about the exploitation, right, of the wealth and the labor. Basically the labor, right? The exploitation of the labor of black people for centuries, right? For hundreds of years, that this country received free labor off the back of our ancestors, right? And made this country the rich country that it is now. And it is about how we were treated. But like I say, most people don't even understand. They don't even know the depth of the mistreatment that was dished out to people of African descent, the heinous things that were done to people of African descent. But again, like I say, more so we talking about the burning and the looting of prosperous African communities. We're talking about the flooding of African American communities. We're talking about the stealing of ideas, like I say, of patents. These people of inventions that have made these countries millions and billions and zillions of dollars, right? We're talking about these schools and universities that have benefited from the labor of black people. Most of the institutions here in this country were built by black people for nothing, right? And so then you need to, so we understand how this country has gotten filthy rich off of our backs, and we are not going to just allow that to be what it is, right? We have to stand up, and we have to exert the voices of our ancestors from the grave. Okay, they're not here to talk for themselves. They're not here to fight for themselves. So we are here to fight for them. And the same is true on the African continent. People of African descent all over the world deserve reparations. Okay, what happened to Africans during colonization, right? And also as a result of enslavement. You lost half of your population. That is wealth. When it comes down to it, that is labor that could have gone into building the African continent. This is the part that I don't think some of our African brothers and sisters understand. Okay? But then again, I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to hop on here and say that because it doesn't have anything to really do about what this president says. Who cares what he says, right? And like I said, for me, if I've never been the kind, I'm not going to force myself on to anybody, as far as that's concerned, if you don't want me around you, I don't want to be around you, right? I really don't. It doesn't matter to me whether you like me or not. I like me. That's what's important. And that's what's important for African people. We have to learn how to like each other, right? And quit this nonsense and bickering between each other. Africans and African Americans and Africans and Jamaicans and all of this crazy stuff. Like you say, we are people of African descent. That's if you want to claim that. If you don't want to claim that, then we're not talking to you. You know, this not about you. But as far as what we're talking about the dismissal of African people, about these people saying that they don't like us, they don't want us around. So, so what? We don't want you around either. I mean, even in when you're in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, we are the only people, I mean, even here in the United States, that really just openly embrace everybody. Even if we have our reservations about people, we don't just outright disrespect people, disregard people, because of their ethnicity or the color of their skin, because we are made up different, okay? And we should be proud about that, right? I'm not asking you to change your ways and to be, ignorant like these people are, No, you should be proud of who you are and your respect for humanity and the diversity of humanity, right? But you also have to respect yourself, right? And you have to believe that, you are just as strong and equipped to do for yourself as anybody else is, right? Believe me, like you say, they have us thinking that we have to depend on them for everything. It's the opposite. The world depends on Africa for everything. Like you say, every a natural resource that they need to create these products that they need, they need African people, right? I mean, they need Africa, but they don't want African people, but they want our resources, okay? And so, if anything, like you say, that's where we need to start holding our government officials accountable for, right? If they don't want African people, then they don't want our resources. And the same here, like I say, in the States. Everything we do benefits communities outside of ours. We don't have the development. We don't have the business infrastructure in our community because all of our ingenuity, all of our skills go to building these communities outside of our own. Okay? And that's the real deal about it. Anytime we really want something nice, we have to go outside of our own communities to, enjoy it. I mean, of course, we have small businesses, nice businesses, restaurants, things like that, But like I said on a previous video, most of our businesses are service orientated, right? Well, where I live anyway. But like I say, yeah, we have, nooks and crannies where we can go into, where we can find nice businesses. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying anything that we really want, products that we need for everyday life, we have to go to these businesses outside of our communities to get them. We don't manufacture any of that, right? Our doctors, they work in these large hospitals. You can name me a hospital that's black owned that our doctors work in. And it's the same as African doctors. All of these African doctors that's in this country they work inside these large, European-owned hospitals, okay? Why the hospitals in Africa suffer? Because they are not there, right? And I know it's not all of their fault, because they have to make a living too. They have to go where they can make a living. But it's going to come a point in time where we're going to have to sacrifice. Something is going to have to change if we're going to build the infrastructure of Africa. We are going to have to sacrifice to do that, right? I remember, and I didn't mean to stay on here this long, and I know I'm ranting, but it's just what's on my mind. I remember, the Million Man March. I don't know if you all know what the Million Man March was, but Minister Farrakhan, he called for a million black men to go to Washington, D.C., right? To, as a conference basically of atonement, to atone for not just for sins like we think of sins, but really to empower black men to atone for some of the things that, they feel that they may have done, right, that have not benefited themselves, their family, or, the community. So he asked for a million black men to come to Washington, right? That event was so powerful. But of course, the Western media, the white American media, and these officials who despise Minister Farrakhan, who is the leader of the Nation of Islam, right, here in this country, they tried to demean the event, all the organization of the event. Even while it was going on, we could see with our own eyes that there were 1 million and plus men on the Washington Mall. They try to convince us that it wasn't that many. They try to pick our leaders for us and try to, like I say, paint him as an anti-Semitic leader, somebody that spreads hate. How are you spreading hate when you pushing back against somebody that's showing has historically been known to hate you? Who has, we have the receipts. Like you say, I heard, anyway, back to Mr. Farrakhan, because I'll go on to something else, right? But this event took place. There was not one incident, no problems, no violence, no anything, okay? And so I remember that we was at work that day, but he really asked us to not go to work, okay? But it at that time, I'm still who I am today, right? But I didn't realize at that time, the power that I really had in myself, as far as the job is concerned, right? But he wanted us all to stay at home so that America could understand the importance of African American people to the running of this system, right? Or how important we are to how the American economy runs, right? So most people like, I'm not staying at home, I got bills to pay, blah, 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 blah. I wasn't saying that. Basically, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to work. I had just got a promotion, so, I was in a certain position. But also, I went because one of my boss at the time, he called me in and he said, with this attitude, if anybody stays home, and they don't have time, then they gonna have to pay the price. So I got upset about that, the way he said it. So I asked him, I said, I told him, I said, you don't have to talk to me like that. And I'm quite sure, my people, they are wise enough to understand that they can't stay at home and miss a day if they don't have the time to take off, right? I said, but what's the problem? It's a national day of recognition, for African American people, and understanding the history of people in this country. Then I don't see why it should be a problem, right? But I was saying that to say that many of us weren't even willing to make that sacrifice to stay home one day. Do you know how powerful that would have been if we would have not stayed home one day? We could have brought the service sector of this country to its knees, okay? Because we are entrenched in this country, we are entrenched in this economy, and we make this economy do what it do. We make it go around, right? Not us alone, but we are a very integral part of this country operating in the capacity that it does, okay? So, I just wanted to say that, we have to recognize what power we have, okay? And these people, they're going to think the way they want to think. One more short story. I remember when I went to Morocco. Actually, Morocco was the first country that I went to on the African continent, right? I was going to Senegal, but we made a stopover in Morocco first. We stayed a couple days, right? And it was pleasant. It was nice, it was a cool culture. We got a chance to, visit a lot of the mosques and, go to a lot of the museums, and I actually got an opportunity. I prayed in the center, at the mosque. I'm not a Muslim, but I pray at the mosque because, I want to pray at the mosque, just like I can pray at the church or the synagogue or wherever I want to pray, right? But anyway, it was nice, and we went to dinner. We had dinner at one of the our tour guide's house. He was a Moroccan and all of that, and that was good, and we had a good time and all of that. But he kept on saying, well, when the Africans do that, and when the Africans do this, or when the Africans come to Morocco, and so nobody wasn't saying anything. So of course, I said something. I'm like, what do you mean when the Africans come to Morocco? Isn't this Africa? And then he go, oh, no. I didn't mean that. That's not what I was saying. Well, what were you saying? Make it clear, make yourself plain, right? Because we didn't come 7,000 miles for this crap. If we wanted to hear that, we could have stayed in America, where we were. So, these kind of attitudes, they are pervasive, right? They are pervasive. And, and they've been that way, and they still are. So we just have to accept it for what it is, recognize it for what it is, but we also have to stand our ground and know who we are, right? So I'm getting ready to get off of here. I've been on here longer than I thought I would be, but I just wanted to say that. Don't be surprised, or don't be up in arms when, when these people say that kind of thing. Basically, ignore them. That's what we can do for them. Just really ignore them. I think when we react to them all the time, that's really just emboldens them and empowers them, And if somebody put their hands on you, then, you put your hands on them back, basically, because I hear that a lot of the African people were being attacked. Hey, if somebody attacked you, then you got a right to defend yourself and attack back. You only get one life, and you got a right to protect it. I understand being a bigger person or something like that, but if somebody hits you upside your head with a rock, you better try to find the next biggest rock and, return the favor. So, that's all I'm saying. So, anyway, let me get off of here. And, again, I'm glad you liking the videos that I put up, okay, of the Ethiopian and Eritrean traditional dance, as well as the West African dance. Is a real quick funny story. One more. When I was visiting a local Ethiopian restaurant, one of my favorites, right? They always plan these videos, and they have they feature these dancers doing, like I say, the traditional Ethiopian dance, or what I thought was Ethiopian dance, right? And they were singing and all of that. So one day I asked the owner, right? I said, what are they saying? Because I was interested. I'm not that good at learning foreign languages or learning different languages. I used to be, but if you don't keep practicing or keep speaking them, then you forget them, So anyway, but I'm always interested, right? Especially in African languages. So I'm like, what are they saying? And she's like, I don't know. I don't know. They are Eritrean. And I was like, what? And I just thought that was so funny because, they always got this music going, and I just took it for granted that was, Ethiopian language and Ethiopian music and dance, right? But, of course, Ethiopian and Eritreans, they basically the same people, and, they share a lot of, I guess, the same cultures, I guess, But, anyway, that was funny, so I just thought I'd share that little, that little joke with you. But, okay, I'm signing off. Remember, this is Marie Ya Jouf, the Real Africanist, And you can find me here talking and teaching about African history, African studies, and current African affairs. And most of all, you can find me here talking about Africa for real, right? And you can also catch me blogging at therealafricanist.com. All right. So remember to like, comment, and share, and subscribe to my channel. And hit the notification button so that you can be one of the first ones to be notified when I put up a new video. All right. See you next time. Remember, fight the power. There's always more than one side to a story. And when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. All right. One Africa, one love. Peace.